Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. It's an honor to speak to you about something that is at the heart of success, achievement, and fulfillment: the power of having clear, defined goals. When we lack clear goals, we find ourselves navigating through life without a map. We might have dreams, aspirations, or even vague desires, but without a concrete plan, we are simply drifting. Let's explore what happens when we don't set clear goals and how it can affect every aspect of our lives. When we lack clear goals, we become directionless, much like a traveler without a map. While we might have dreams or aspirations without a defined destination, we risk wandering aimlessly through life. Our time and energy are spent on activities that don't align with any clear purpose. This lack of direction can leave us feeling lost and unfulfilled, as we're not sure where we're headed or how to measure our progress. Goals are the compass that guide us toward our desired outcomes. They provide a sense of purpose, giving our actions a clear focus and ensuring that every step we take moves us closer to where we want to be. Without clear goals, we also waste valuable time and energy. Every day we are bombarded with distractions that pull us away from what really matters. When our goals aren't clearly defined, it becomes easy to get caught up in activities that don't contribute to our growth or success. We spend time on things that don't add value to our lives, and before we know it, we've let precious hours slip by. Goals help us prioritize and streamline our efforts, making sure that our time and energy are directed toward what truly matters. When we know what we're aiming for, we become more efficient, focused, and productive, using our resources in ways that align with our objectives. One of the most common emotions that arise from a lack of clear goals is frustration. When we don't know what we're working toward, it's easy to feel like our efforts are futile. We might start questioning the purpose behind our actions or feel overwhelmed by the lack of progress. Without clear goals, we struggle to see how our daily tasks fit into the bigger picture. On the other hand, when we have a well-defined goal, we can see the purpose behind each step we take, making every effort feel meaningful. Even setbacks and challenges become part of the journey toward achieving something important. This clarity reduces frustration and helps us stay motivated, knowing that every action brings us closer to our desired outcome. The absence of clear goals can also negatively impact our confidence. Without a sense of direction, we may begin to doubt our abilities or feel uncertain about the future. When we don't know what we're striving for, it's hard to measure our success or even recognize progress. This can leave us feeling stagnant and unsure of ourselves. However, when we set clear goals, we can track our progress and celebrate small wins along the way. Each milestone we reach boosts our confidence, reminding us of our ability to achieve great things. Goals help us recognize our potential, giving us the motivation to push forward and overcome challenges. When we lack clear goals, we often find ourselves wasting valuable time and energy. Life is filled with distractions, and without a clear objective, it's all too easy to get sidetracked by things that don't move us forward. We may spend hours on tasks that seem urgent, but ultimately don't contribute to our long-term success or happiness. Without specific goals, our actions lack direction, and we end up going through the motions instead of making real progress. It's like trying to run a race without knowing where the finish line is. You might be exerting a lot of energy, but you're not advancing toward any real destination. Time is one of our most precious resources, and when we lack clarity about our goals, we tend to squander it on activities that don't align with our priorities. We might find ourselves distracted by the small, insignificant tasks that feel good in the moment, but don't actually help us achieve what we want in life. Whether it's procrastinating, engaging in unproductive habits, or simply reacting to things instead of being proactive, we end up expending energy on the wrong things. Without goals, we are more likely to let opportunities slip through our fingers because we don't recognize them or know how to take advantage of them when they arise. Additionally, not having clear goals can leave us feeling drained and unfulfilled. We may work hard, but the lack of purpose in our efforts makes it difficult to feel a sense of accomplishment. When we don't know where we're headed or what we're trying to achieve, we can't gauge progress, which makes our work feel endless and often unrewarding. This kind of aimless activity can lead to burnout and frustration as we invest our time and energy into tasks that don't align with our true aspirations. Over time, this can diminish our motivation and leave us feeling defeated despite the effort we've put in. By contrast, when we set clear goals, we become intentional about how we use our time and energy. Our efforts are focused, and we can prioritize what matters most. Instead of chasing after every new opportunity or falling victim to distractions, we can streamline our actions toward our goals. Clear goals create a filter for decision making, allowing us to say no to things that don't align with our vision and to dedicate our resources to activities that bring us closer to our desired outcomes. In this way, we stop wasting time and begin to make the most of every moment. When we lack clear goals, frustration often becomes an inevitable part of our daily lives. Without a clear sense of direction, it becomes increasingly difficult to gauge progress or even know where we are going. This creates a constant feeling of uncertainty, as if we're moving forward but never quite getting anywhere. The more time we spend without a concrete goal, the more this sense of frustration grows. We may find ourselves working hard without seeing any meaningful results or feeling like our efforts don't matter. This leads to a cycle of dissatisfaction, where we're putting in time and energy but struggling to understand what we're achieving or why we're doing it. The lack of goals often results in a sense of wasted potential. When we don't have something clearly defined that we are striving toward, it's easy to fall into the trap of feeling like we're spinning our wheels. We start questioning whether the work we're doing is worth the effort, or if it even leads to any kind of meaningful outcome. This uncertainty can breed frustration because we can't see the connection between our daily activities and the larger picture. Instead of feeling a sense of accomplishment, we may be left wondering if we're making the right choices or if we're even on the right path at all. Frustration also grows when we encounter obstacles or setbacks, which are an inevitable part of any journey. Without clear goals, it's hard to stay motivated when challenges arise. We may struggle to find the determination to push through difficulties, feeling overwhelmed or defeated by even small hurdles. A lack of a defined goal means we often don't have a strong reason to keep going. The obstacles we face may feel insurmountable, and without the clarity that comes from having a goal in sight, we're more likely to give up or lose interest altogether. On the other hand, clear goals act as a source of motivation, helping us stay focused even when the road gets tough. They provide us with a sense of purpose that fuels our determination and helps us keep pushing forward despite setbacks. When we know exactly what we're working toward, the challenges we face seem more manageable because we can see how overcoming them brings us closer to achieving something meaningful. With clear goals, frustration is replaced by a sense of progress. And even when things don't go as planned, we remain focused on our end result, knowing that each step is part of the bigger journey. When we lack clear goals, one of the most immediate effects is a noticeable drop in motivation. Without a clear destination, it becomes difficult to summon the energy and enthusiasm needed to take consistent action. Motivation doesn't come from simply wishing for success. It arises from having something specific to work toward. If you don't have a well-defined goal, it's easy to feel aimless, and this lack of purpose quickly leads to a sense of inertia. Instead of waking up each day with a sense of excitement or purpose, we may find ourselves going through the motions, doing tasks simply because they need to be done, rather than with the drive to achieve something meaningful. This lack of motivation can lead to procrastination, as we continually push tasks aside with no clear sense of urgency. When we don't know exactly what we're working toward, it's hard to feel a sense of obligation to make progress. The days slip by, and we find ourselves struggling to get started on important tasks because there's no clear outcome to work toward. Without motivation, the smallest hurdles seem insurmountable, and we can easily get stuck in a cycle of hesitation, lacking the energy to make real progress. Every delay chips away at our confidence, and the longer we remain unmotivated, the more difficult it becomes to break the cycle. The problem with a lack of motivation is that it compounds over time. As the days and weeks pass without clear goals, we begin to lose sight of what we can achieve. The absence of motivation makes it hard to push through challenges or even take the first step towards something new. Without the drive to get things done, we miss opportunities for personal growth or professional advancement. Our skills stagnate, and we start to feel like we're falling behind. This sense of stagnation only worsens as time goes on, and the longer we go without motivation, the harder it becomes to find the energy to start moving forward again. In contrast, when we set clear and specific goals, motivation naturally follows. Having a well-defined objective gives us something tangible to focus on, a reason to take action. Each small step toward that goal serves as a reminder of why we started in the first place, providing us with the energy to keep going even when things get tough. Clear goals create a roadmap, turning the overwhelming into the manageable and giving us the momentum to continue. Rather than feeling stuck, we feel driven, knowing that every action brings us closer to a meaningful achievement. When we lack goals, motivation dwindles. But with clear intentions, it thrives and propels us toward success. When we don't have clear goals, we often miss valuable opportunities that could significantly impact our lives. Opportunities are everywhere, but without a defined vision of what we want to achieve, it's easy to overlook them. They may appear as invitations to take on new projects, collaborate with others, or venture into unknown areas, but if we're unsure of where we're headed, we might not recognize them as valuable stepping stones toward our goals. Opportunities don't always look like opportunities at first glance, and without a clear set of goals to guide us, we fail to identify them in time, leaving them to pass by unnoticed. As we drift through life without purpose or clear objectives, we become less attuned to the moments when opportunity knocks. Instead of being proactive and seizing chances as they arise, we may become passive or hesitant, unsure whether we should take action. This hesitation stems from a lack of clarity, as we're not certain how a particular opportunity fits into our broader vision. Opportunities often require a quick decision, and without the confidence that comes from knowing exactly what we want, we end up hesitating, or worse, letting them slip away altogether. The result is that we may look back and wonder what could have been if we had simply been more decisive and clear about our intention. Not recognizing opportunities also means we miss chances for growth and progress. Opportunities often come in the form of challenges, experiences, or encounters with people who could open doors for us. When we lack goals, we're not in the right frame of mind to take full advantage of these encounters. We may not see the value in pushing ourselves beyond our comfort zones, or we may not take the time to evaluate how a particular opportunity fits into our larger life plan. As a result, our potential for growth remains limited, and we stay stuck in the same place, unable to move forward and realize our full potential. On the other hand, when we have clear goals, we become more alert to the opportunities that align with our vision. With a well-defined purpose, we can quickly assess new situations and recognize which ones will bring us closer to our desired outcome. We become proactive in seeking out opportunities and making decisions that propel us forward. Having goals not only helps us recognize what opportunities are valuable, but also gives us the confidence to act on them. The clarity that comes from knowing where we're headed helps us take full advantage of the doors that open, leading to personal and professional growth that we would otherwise miss. When we lack clear goals, one of the most immediate and noticeable consequences is a struggle with focus. Without a defined purpose, it becomes incredibly difficult to concentrate on any one thing for an extended period. Our attention is constantly divided, pulled in various directions by distractions or unrelated tasks. The mind flits from one idea to the next, never settling on a single goal or project long enough to make meaningful progress. Without clear goals to anchor us, we're left without a clear path to follow, and the result is a scattered, unfocused approach to everything we do. This inability to focus can manifest in all areas of life, whether in our work, relationships, or personal pursuits. When focus is lost, productivity follows suit. It's nearly impossible to do meaningful work if your attention is constantly shifting. Tasks that should take an hour might drag on for days simply because we're unable to zero in on what needs to be done. The lack of a clear objective means that we don't know where to direct our energy, so we spend time on tasks that don't move us closer to our goals or bigger vision. Rather than making consistent progress, we're left with a pile of incomplete tasks, half-done projects, and feelings of frustration. Instead of making steps toward our dreams, we end up running in circles, feeling busier but accomplishing very little. This lack of focus also hampers the ability to prioritize. With clear goals, it becomes much easier to decide what to focus on and when. But without goals, we find ourselves overwhelmed by the multitude of choices, tasks, and demands placed on us. It's easy to waste time on things that seem urgent but aren't actually important in the grand scheme of things. The more we try to juggle, the more diluted our attention becomes, and the more difficult it is to make progress on anything. The overwhelming sense of having too many things to do, yet no clear way to organize them, only deepens the feeling of being stuck. Having a clear goal, on the other hand, sharpens focus and allows us to filter out the distractions. When we know exactly what we want to achieve, we can focus our energy and attention on the tasks that will get us closer to that outcome. Clear goals serve as a lens through which we view everything in our lives, helping us to prioritize our time and efforts. With this clarity, we become more efficient, more effective, and far less susceptible to being sidetracked by things that aren't aligned with our objectives. Focus becomes a tool that propels us forward, and we start making tangible progress toward the future we've envisioned. When we lack clear goals, one of the most subtle yet powerful impacts is a gradual erosion of our confidence. Without a clear direction or purpose, it's easy to begin doubting ourselves. We question whether the actions we're taking are leading to anything meaningful, and over time, this uncertainty takes a toll on our self-assurance. We might start to feel like we're spinning our wheels, putting in effort but seeing no real results. This sense of stagnation and lack of forward movement can make us feel inadequate. Even though we might be working hard, when there's no clear goal to measure progress, it becomes difficult to recognize our achievements. And that lack of recognition can undermine our belief in our own abilities. As we continue to lack clarity, the doubts begin to grow stronger. When we're unsure of what we're working toward or why we're doing what we're doing, we start to lose trust in our decision-making. This leads to a cycle of second-guessing ourselves at every turn, whether in our personal lives or our professional endeavors. Even small setbacks can feel like insurmountable failures when we don't have a clear vision to guide us. The frustration from not seeing the big picture can cause us to focus on the negatives, further lowering our self-esteem. We may wonder if we're capable of achieving anything at all, which in turn only reinforces the belief that we're not good enough. This reduction in confidence can have a ripple effect across all areas of our lives. Our relationships, careers, and overall well-being can be impacted by the constant feeling of uncertainty. When we lack confidence, we tend to avoid taking risks or seizing new opportunities out of fear that we'll fail or make a mistake. The longer we go without clear goals, the more our self-doubt grows, and the less likely we are to push ourselves outside of our comfort zone. We become more passive, hesitant, and unwilling to take on challenges that could help us grow. The longer we stay in this state, the more we close ourselves off to the possibility of success. However, the power of clear goals is that they can act as a confidence booster. When we have a specific goal in mind, we can measure progress, even in small increments, and each small win helps rebuild our self-esteem. Achieving these goals, no matter how minor they seem, serves as proof that we are capable, competent, and moving in the right direction. Having a clear vision reminds us that we have control over our destiny and that the effort we put in leads to tangible results. The more we accomplish, the more our confidence grows, and with each step we take toward our goals, we become stronger in our belief that we can achieve anything we set our minds to. When we lack clear goals, one of the first feelings that can overwhelm us is the sense of being buried under an endless to-do list. Without a clear direction or defined purpose, every task feels like a mountain to climb. The demands of everyday life can quickly add up, and without a roadmap for how to approach them, they become impossible to prioritize. We find ourselves jumping from one task to the next, each one seeming just as important as the last, and with no clear way of tackling them. This lack of clarity makes everything seem urgent, leaving us feeling stressed and unsure of where to begin. The feeling of being overwhelmed is compounded by the constant pressure of uncertainty. Without specific goals to focus on, it's easy to feel lost in the multitude of responsibilities and commitments that come our way. We become so consumed by the chaos that we struggle to think clearly or make decisions. Every choice feels like a burden, and rather than moving forward, we end up staying stuck in place, paralyzed by the sheer volume of things that need our attention. This constant state of overload makes it harder to take action, as we become bogged down in the noise of everything that demands our focus, but with no clarity about what truly matters. As the overwhelm continues, it becomes more difficult to keep up with the demands of life. The sense of urgency increases, and yet the feeling of making no progress only adds to the frustration. Tasks pile up, and with each new responsibility, we begin to feel as though we're sinking deeper into a hole with no way out. This overwhelming pressure often leads to burnout, as we push ourselves beyond our limits trying to juggle everything at once. We may even find ourselves working harder but not smarter, caught in a cycle of effort without any tangible results to show for it. The more we try to handle everything at once, the more overwhelming it feels. When we set clear goals, however, the feeling of overwhelm starts to fade. With a defined purpose in mind, we can prioritize our tasks and break them down into manageable steps. Goals give us a framework for decision-making, helping us to focus on what truly matters and let go of the rest. By identifying the most important actions to take, we create a sense of order amidst the chaos. As we make progress toward our goals, the weight of responsibility becomes lighter, and we gain a renewed sense of control. Clear goals help us regain our focus, reduce the stress of daily life, and bring a sense of clarity and direction to even the most overwhelming situations. When we lack clear goals, one of the most damaging consequences is the delay of our success. Success is not something that happens by chance. It is the result of careful planning, consistent effort, and the ability to stay focused on what truly matters. Without clear goals to guide us, it's easy to become distracted by fleeting interests or short-term desires, which can pull us off course. We may find ourselves starting multiple projects but never finishing them, or constantly shifting our focus from one thing to another without making real progress. This lack of clarity prevents us from making the decisive actions that lead to tangible outcomes, pushing success further and further out of reach. The longer we remain without clear goals, the more time we waste. Every day that passes without a concrete plan is a day we could have spent working toward our future success. Instead, we may be caught in a cycle of indecision or hesitation, unsure of where to put our time and energy. Procrastination sets in because there's no urgency or deadline driving us forward. This constant delay not only wastes precious time, but also erodes our motivation as we begin to feel as if we're stuck in a holding pattern, waiting for the right moment to act, which often never arrives. Our dreams and aspirations remain just that, dreams, because we haven't taken the necessary steps to bring them to life. As this cycle continues, we may start to doubt our abilities or question whether we are capable of achieving success at all. The longer we delay taking action, the more our confidence erodes. We might look at others who seem to be advancing and wonder why we're not moving forward in the same way. The truth is that without clear goals, we miss the crucial step of turning our ideas into a structured plan of action. The lack of a clear objective makes it difficult to measure progress, which results in feelings of stagnation. Success doesn't come from hoping for the best. It comes from actively working towards something with purpose and determination. Without that, success feels like something that belongs to others, not to us. In contrast, when we establish clear, actionable goals, we create a roadmap that leads to our success. With a defined objective in mind, we know exactly what we need to do and can begin making meaningful strides toward our vision. Success becomes less of an abstract concept and more of a tangible outcome that we are actively working toward. Each step we take, no matter how small, brings us closer to the success we desire. Clear goals provide the clarity and structure needed to stay on track and keep moving forward. They eliminate the uncertainty and indecision that lead to delay, and in doing so, accelerate our journey toward achieving what we truly want in life. Friends, clear goals are the foundation of achievement. They give us purpose, direction, and a roadmap to success. When you set clear, actionable goals, you empower yourself to take charge of your life, and you stop drifting and start living with intention, focus, and the confidence to achieve everything you set out to do. Remember, success isn't an accident, it's a choice. And that choice begins with setting clear, purposeful goals. Thank you,